Am I muted? Hi guys, how you doing? Hi Roberta, hi Betty, hi Kathy. Welcome, welcome, welcome. We have fun today. I like this decoupage project. It's kind of fun sometimes. Just take our materials that we're used to using and turn them into something different. So I think it's fun. I hope you do. I went ahead and pre-painted my pieces to make this a faster process, so we won't all sit around and watch my paint dry. How you guys doing? Making a birthday explosion box. Awesome. Awesome. What kind of paper are you using, Betty? Hi, Sharma. The storage container comes quite flat. That storage container. What storage container, Kathy?
The one you have right in front of you.
Oh, yeah, it does. It actually comes packed in a small box, and then it's wrapped in plastic, and it looks just like that when you get it. It's really easy assembly, though. Okay, we got white Centura paper decorating with crazy papers. Fun, fun, fun. Sounds good. Well, this is what we're going to make today. Sans the pens, of course. The pens are not included in your kit, but this is what we're going to make. I didn't worry about papering the back, because why? Nobody's going to see the back. You do see a little bit of the assembly on the back, but that's okay. It actually is a nice, heavy-duty device when we get it done. So I'm kind of stalling a little bit here to see if anybody else is going to come in before I actually put this thing together. But what time is it, hon?
3 after.
Okay, we'll wait till 5 after, and then we're going to go because, we got things to do. Oh, let's see. Oh, you know what I don't have over here, honey? I need a couple foam brushes out of the drawer, please. Please, please.
What drawer?
Over there.
42 of them. No, you can't say over there.
The last skinny drawers, midway down. Hello, Stephanie. How are you, my friend? Okay, several of you have already bought the kit. Let's just walk through kit contents. In your kit, you're going to get the unfinished pieces to the cart or to the pen crate. You're going to get a piece of A3 decoupage paper. If you don't tell us otherwise, we'll send you the Hortensia paper that I've done this one in. If you do want a different one, and maybe I should show you some of your choices. That would probably be a good thing. Are you finding them? Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Oh, maybe they're down further. Look in Brittany's cart. Go down to the end and look in her cart. I'm sorry, that's probably where I found them. Okay. I swear I took them out of there yesterday. I don't care what size they are. Okay, before you sit down, get me the A3 papers out of the bucket at the end there, please. Margie did have them at home wrapping them. She didn't realize these were already wrapped when she grabbed them. Okay, let's take a look at what your choices would be for decorating your box if you want to. At this point, these are the papers we have available. This is a Hortensia paper I used right here. Whoops. Trying to get things in camera view is sometimes difficult. So that one. This is called Hortential Wallpaper. Maybe I need to switch sides here. Let's try this. There we go, that's better. This is called Hortential Wallpaper. Hi, Mary T. This one has ferns. So wouldn't that be pretty if you're looking for kind of neutral colors rather than bright colors? This one is, I don't remember what it's called, but it's in there. It's from Stamperia, and I think it might be one of the Leonardo papers, but I'm not certain. Or Voyages Fantastique, perhaps. And we have several of those. Let's see. Here's another wallpaper sort of one that I think would be really, really pretty. This would actually coordinate well with the Hortensia papers, I believe. Although it's not from Hortensia. And then we have the forest. So we actually have quite a few different choices for you. I love this one too. I think this one's gorgeous. If you were making it for man, wouldn't this one be good? I think that's beautiful. Or for me. Although I am making another one, and it too is going to be Hortensia because they're all going in my office along with my clock and my coasters. We already discussed, do I need a set of 6 coasters in my office? It's unlikely since there's usually only 1 or 2 of us at a time in there. But they're pretty and they look nice. So hey, why not? Why not have them there? Okay. So I'm going to wrap up all but that. Oops, that's the wallpaper one. I still want to do something in this wallpaper, but I want both my pens in this, I think. So there we go. Those are your choices. If you haven't told us otherwise, we're giving you this one. But if you want a different choice, give us a shout out and we can make that happen for you. Okay, it's time to look at assembly. Let's move this over. Move this over so we can get a good view of putting this together. Okay, so we have 2 of these plates, and I'm going to put, let's see, yeah, the one that's got the cutouts here is our bottom plate. Oops, I got to get it down. Any chance we can raise that just a fraction? There we go. That's better. The ones that have these openings, this is the bottom. So our next piece on is going to be our grates. And I pre-painted these. I want the best painted one in the front because the others really don't matter. You're not going to see them. So I'm going to take my best painted side and put it to the front. And I'm just going to add some glue along this little tab that inserts. You don't need to bother to put it on the bottom because the bottom just goes through. I'm just putting it on all sides of the little tab.
Sharma wants the forest one.
The forest one's pretty. Have you ordered your kit yet, Sharma? When you do, be sure you tell us that it's the forest scene that you want, and we will make that happen for you. Put it in the comments section, please. Okay. So, I just realized this is not my best painted one because I didn't paint the inside of the holes. So I'm going to put this one in the back. Now these are really, really easy to get in here before you paint them, but they expand a little bit when you paint them. So it takes a little bit of brute force to push them in if you paint first, like I did. But they pop in with a little effort. And I'm going to put this one in the front because you see you have a little detail work to do in your painting. You got to paint the insides of these little holes. And I didn't do that on the other one, but it won't show on the other one. So I'm going to use this one in the front.
Which is the back and the front of your base?
The back of my base has these two notches in it where the back of the stand is going to come down. The front is all solid. Good question. So I'm going to put a little glue on here. Same thing. I'll put it on both sides of this little tab. Hey, anybody else watch the Mars landing today? That was pretty cool. Watching history in the making. I called my whole family in, and Brittany, I called her up from downstairs. Come on, you're still on payroll, but you got to see this rover land. I ordered us luncheon, and we ate our sandwiches while we watched the rover land. It was pretty cool, I gotta say. Okay. And like I said, these go right in before you paint it, but after you paint it, they swell just a little. So you gotta kind of beat it up a little to get them in there. If I had a hammer here, that would be the perfect tool. But I got them in. You can see that it's not going to fall apart easily. Okay, oh, you have old cigar boxes to cover. That's going to be beautiful. Beautiful. Okay, next, I'm going to put my side pieces on. And my side pieces go like this. Oh, I guess I'm okay. I want to make sure I have my best painted side out on those too. So I'm going to turn this around. The higher side of these goes to the back. So I'm just gluing on my little tabs here. This would stay together pretty well even if it wasn't glued, but the glue will help to hold everything where it's supposed to be. And push that down in. Flip it around. Get this one. I love decoupage. Have you guys done any decoupage before? Any of you guys like me do it in the 70s with all our wall hangings and stuff that we were doing? I did lots of decoupage in the 70s. Made all kinds of wall art for my family. Okay. So we got those pieces on. Okay. We're going to get our back piece here. I think we'll put this on first, actually. We'll get this in. And this one is our top. It goes smooth side to the front. The notches come to the back to catch the back piece. Going to I may have to wiggle my other ones out a little bit while I put this one in, because they are, it takes a little finesse to get all the pieces to decide to do what you want them to do, which is no big deal. It just, a little glue on there. I'm going to push these out just a little bit to allow me to get in there. And you can see what I'm going to be doing here is both lining up the lines from the pieces with holes to come through properly, and I am also bringing this down. Once I get it lined up pretty well, a firm tap helps put it in place. There we go. Like I said, not going to fall apart easily. It takes a little beating on it to get it where you want it to go. But look, it's already coming together. Okay. So you painted on ceramic pieces, okay? Oh, and you've done some decoupage on ceramics. That's cool. All right, our back piece here. These are going to go in these slots in the back. These are going to go in these slots. So I'm going to put some glue on here. Help hold this. Glue on the sides of these little tabs. I hope that isn't breaking your eardrums when I'm pounding on it. It's noisy here. Probably noisy there too, since my speaker is fairly sensitive. So I hope I'm not hurting anybody's ears with my pounding. I trust doing it more with my hand than I do with a hammer, because I don't want to dent my wood, and pounding it with my hand allows me to kind of distribute the weight a little bit across the piece instead of all concentrated, right at the head of the hammer. I think if you had a rubber mallet, that would be good. Okay, so we're going to put this one on. Got it upside down. Put this one on here. So I'm just going to set it into those and then fit it onto these back pegs. Come on. Line it up good. We are all assembled, friends and neighbors. See, I told you it wasn't bad. It's pretty easy, huh? Okay, I was just doing a little glue cleanup right across the front there. So there we go. That's easy. Yay. Okay, next thing we're going to do, just still making sure all my pieces are really solidly together. I'm going to grab my decoupage piece, and I'm going to figure out how much I want to cut. So, got tape on my ruler. Don't know how or why. But that's okay. All right, it'd be easier with my little ruler, but this is the one that's sitting here. Again, it was cutting ribbon. Okay, so I've got 5 1/8 on the top. I've got about a 1/4 inch thick piece, and I've got 7/8 on the bottom. So I've got 5 1/8 on the top, 7/8 I'm going to wrap around the bottom, and I've got a 1/4 inch. So I'm going to make this piece that wraps around 6 3/4. Is that what I just said? 6 1/4 inches. 5 1/8, 7/8, and a 1/4 inch. So I'm going to make it 6 1/4 inches for this piece that wraps around. So I'm going to take this actually to my paper cutter. And we talked a little bit about cutting your paper, cutting your rice paper with your Caterpillar. It will cut rice paper, but I want to caution you, I'm going just a tiny bit under a 1/4 inch at 6 1/4. It's not going to show, it's going to be on the bottom. And I don't want it to be too long because I don't want to be into trying to cut it underneath there. So I want it to be a little bit short. Okay, when you're cutting rice paper with your Caterpillar, it is super important, rice paper, tissue paper, any of those, that you're really pushing this piece against the table. When I say against the table, I mean against the base of the unit. So push it across there. You want to make sure you have a really firm push against the table. And then if you don't, it'll just kind of dent the paper and roll on down. But if you have a really firm push on it, you can get a pretty good cut. And I got a pretty good cut all the way across. I'm going to set this paper aside for the moment, just work with this one. I'm going to get, I have a little bit bigger bottle of Decoupage Medium here than your kit includes. You'll have plenty in your kit. That 2-ounce bottle will be plenty to get your job done. But I'm going to use my larger bottle just because in the shop here where I'm doing it more often, it's more cost effective to use the little bit bigger ones than the smaller ones. I'm going to get a good coat of medium on my, because especially since this is my very first move with this brush, I'm going to get a nice thick coat out here on my platform. Because my brush is actually going to pick some of that up, while I'm working. I'm not really worried about doing this side yet, although I did have some slop over the side. Some people might be concerned, do I need some wood filler or something in these spaces on the top? I will tell you, I did not use wood filler, and I'm really pleased with my results because this decoupage medium is fairly hard when it dries. It's still going to be a little bit more fragile in those places. I will acknowledge that. And if I was worried about that, then putting some wood filler on there would be a way to resolve that. But I wasn't worried about it. Mine is not going to get real heavy duty. I got to turn this around a little bit to see how I'm matching up. And I should be able to slide these square corners, just kind of slide them right on in. My paper here is going to be just about 1/3 of an inch short of covering the entire top, which is really nice because I can get most of this in one pass where it shows the very most. I'm going to take my hand and lightly rub that in just a little bit. I'm going to take my brush with my decoupage medium and I'm going to go over the top of this piece. I am going to stroke kind of lightly because I don't want to create any wrinkles while I'm working and it's still wet underneath. If I was really perfectionistic, the way to resolve that would be to let the coat underneath dry before I do the top coat. But I will also acknowledge that I have never ever done that. But that would be how I would assure that I didn't get any wrinkles, would be to let the coat underneath dry before I do the top coat. You may see as you're working just a little bit of wrinkling. Most that will level right out as it's drying. Now I'm going to tip this back. I'm going to put some decoupage medium on here and underneath here. So I've got quite a bit in my brush at this point. So I'm just going to come across this line and then I'm going to come up underneath here. I don't have to be particularly soft about putting this on, so I can kind of push some of the medium that's in my sponge out on there as I go. Be sure if you create any little drips that you pick those up with your brush, because those dry hard and it will still be there. So pick up any little drips that you create, wrap this around, and we get a beautiful square edge there. See that? And it's lining up very nicely inside my box. I'm not going to try to go any closer than that, guys. It's beautiful. What I'm going to do next is I'm going to look at my paper and say, what edge would I most like to have? Because the top of my box is the most noticeable, I want to try and kind of match my colors here. We know that by feathering out our paper on that edge, remember how we feather? We pull it with a little bit of water and we actually kind of tear the edge so that we don't have a straight edge on that outside edge. I'll show you what I mean. But the first thing I want to do is pick out the piece that I want there. And I think this piece, which is actually from my lower corner, is going to be really nice for that. So I'm going to go back to my paper cutter and I'm going to cut myself a piece that is just about 1 inch wide, maybe even a little less than an inch, but about 1 inch wide, maybe a little less. Don't want to waste it. And I think I'll just cut it the length of my cutter to start with. If you're wondering how with a caterpillar I'm getting a measure of less than an inch, I'm eyeballing it. If I went right to the edge of my ruler here, right to the edge of the ruler, that would be 1 inch. And I'm coming in just a little bit from that. I'm holding my paper nice and steady. My blade is inside a carriage, so whoops. So I don't have to worry about cutting my fingers. And I'm just holding my paper nice and steady, pushing my blade over as I go. And see, that last part, I didn't push it as hard, so it kind of just rolled over that. But it's okay because I was going to feather that edge anyway. So I'm just kind of tearing it away lightly. Now when I say that I want to feather that edge, this part that goes in the corner, I love that that's nice and, oops, get it down here where you can see it. This part that goes in the corner, I love that that's nice and square already. So I'm going to use that. And on this side, I can do this in a couple of different ways. I can kind of pull at it, But it's also useful if you have a water brush handy, and I do, to use a water brush to kind of soften the fibers in your paper along that edge. So I'm going to just squeeze a little bit of my liquid out there. I don't have much liquid in my water brush left. I think I have enough to get the job done. And then I'm going to pull on those fibers on this side a little bit. And I'm going to rough those that really nice cut edge that I just made. I'm going to rough that up a little bit because it will disappear more if it's roughed up when I'm kind of bonding my two pieces. My seam will disappear more if this piece that I'm putting on is not too clean on the edge. I actually want that to feather out a little bit. So once I get some of this off of here, I didn't have quite enough water in my water brush. A paintbrush will do the same thing as a water brush if you just dip it in paint and then run it down the line. But see what I'm doing here? Oops. I hope you can see that. Here, let me put something dark behind it. What I'm doing is kind of just feathering that edge so it's not too straight. Does that make sense? Yes? Give me a yes if it does, if it makes sense. Give me a 1. If it doesn't make sense, tell me, nope, makes no sense to me. I'm going to cut this piece also to the length that we cut our prior one, which was 6 1/8. I'm not as worried about feathering it underneath because, again, the underneath really isn't going to show. But I'm going to take this piece now. This is already drying pretty nicely, and most of my little wrinkles that I got tiny little wrinkles, are all gone. So that's good. I'm going to put a little bit of Decoupage Medium on my base here, and I'm going to use my brush to spread that out, really catch that and get it on that edge. Doesn't matter if my Decoupage Medium ramps over a little bit onto my paper because I've been painting on that paper anyway, right? So it doesn't matter. It's not a real precise job here. Once I have that, I'm going to get my piece I just cut. I'm going to slide it into my corner. Forgive me if I get my head in the shot. In here where I can see what I'm doing. There we go. And I'm going to put some, let me wrap that around underneath where we just sealed them. I didn't get enough sealer on the edge yet. Let me pull that back up. Rice paper is tough. Have we talked about that? I think we have. Rice paper is surprisingly tough, pretty resilient. You can peel it back up and rework it, and it's surprisingly tough when you're working with it. Yeah. I did not. Yes, you are just using your paintbrush if you're running it along there to, when you're running it along to feather it, you are just using water and you're tearing it away. Did I say paint? If I did, I didn't mean to. Yeah, you're just running it along in the water. Now I'm going to put a coat of my sealer on top of the piece we just put down. How many coats are needed? I like to put 2 to 3 coats on, Stephanie. And I will actually use some of my decoupage medium right over my painted wood too. What that's going to do is give it a little higher gloss finish, and it's going to protect my white paint from chipping off. Okay, now let me show you what we just put in there. If you didn't know that we put a piece in there, I don't think you would know. See that? Okay, let's put a little bit more. Let's put another coat on top while we're talking about how many coats. Let's just get another coat on top here. This is the part that I'm the most concerned with right now, but I will go through it and put a coat over all, at least one coat, if not multiple coats, over all of my white part. This will turn foggy as I put the medium on top of it. That's normal and expected. It'll clear right up, as you can see on the other sample that we've already done. I'm excited that I get 2 of these by doing a class demo, because I want 2 of them for my office. Brittany's in here manning the cameras right now. Say hi, Brittany. Hi. Bryce is fixing lasagna, so he made a quick trip to the kitchen to get his dish done, and Brittany got ambushed into. Brittany's done some decoupage on clocks, haven't you, Brittany?
Yeah.
You made a couple of them at Christmas, right? Not this year, but last year. You made one for Grandma Peggy. Huh? Did you just make the one for Grandma Peggy?
Yeah, and then we did the recipe box.
Oh, yeah, we did recipe boxes. That was fun. Okay. Now, next, I'm going to do my piece for here. I need this wide enough to cover my top, wrap around the front, and I only want maybe a 1/4 inch on the bottom. All I'm doing here is just wrapping it around so that I kind of have a nice solid piece on my work. So what's on the bottom isn't really going to show. In fact, I don't have to go to the bottom at all. I'll show you what I'm going to do on the sides, but I'm going to put a little bit on the bottom, I think, just to wrap it around. But I wouldn't have to. Once again, I'm really pushing my blade against the table as I'm cutting that piece. I'm going to get my brushed a little bit on my sides there as I had slopped up on them. And anywhere you get little slops of decoupage medium, make sure you brush those out, because you will have a ripple there where the sloppiness is. Should love how my terms. Oh, you good. You saw the new clock papers. That's awesome. There's about 3 or 4 new clock faces. Now we have the cat and the orchid clock face. Have you seen that one yet? The clock itself only has an orchid on it, but it's from the Clocks and Cats collection. And then we have, tripped that. Then we have the Tuscan Sun, which just came in. Did I show you guys those? And we have the Sicilian paper, also kind of an Italian theme. And we have the rose one. So we actually have several clock faces now that are beautiful. One of these days I need to do another clock and show you what it looks like when we add stick-on letters to it. I'm going to go right to the side. I could slide this paper under, but then since I've decided not to paint or not to decoupage certain parts of this and that I wanted to keep parts of it white, I want to be careful that I'm not getting my papers showing underneath, you know. I want to keep my lines fairly clean. Make sure my line there is straight, and then I'm going to wrap this paper around here. And I think this time I might have to take it off the edge because I didn't cut it quite long enough to go over to the bottom, which is really not a problem. It gives me a chance to show you how we're going to get beautiful lines. Now I have that little bit hanging over there. Can you see that? Just a tiny bit hanging over there. I'm going to reach over here and I'm going to get my piece of emery board as soon as I figure out what I did with it, because I should have dug it up before we started and I didn't. Where's my emery board? I didn't bother to look for it because I left it on the table the other night when I was working here, and I know I didn't put it away. But where did it go? Go look in my tool drawer there, Brittany, and see if you see another emery board or light grit sandpaper or... Here it is. Never mind. I found it. Here's my little emery board. Most expensive tool in my tool cabinet, I assure you. But watch this. I can brush that right along that edge. And I will be able to lift that paper right away. Now it's wet right now, so it's resisting me, but I'm going to be able to lift that paper right off of there by using my emery board along a piece of rice paper. Here it comes. There's the first part. I'm going to end up with a beautiful finished edge just by taking those little pieces off. I'll show you my edge here momentarily. It had a little bit of wet decoupage medium on it, so it's being a little stickier than it otherwise would. But I'm just pulling that off. Here's my finish on my bottom edge. The camera, I have to go backwards of what I think it should be. See how nicely my edge finished? Hi, Tina. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Yay, I'm so glad you're here with us. Where are you from, Tina? Okay, I have this little, oops, I have some little pieces here, some little cutoffs. I'm gonna see if that's gonna be big enough. Nope, it's not. I can't just use the one I used before because I trimmed a piece off my edge already. So I'm just going to trim a little scrap here to fill in this piece right here. See, I got that little white one left. Arkansas. Are you guys in a cold snap in Arkansas? Obviously you have power. Obviously all of you guys have power. That's good. Okay, so I just cut myself a little scrap. I'm going to put a little decoupage medium right there. And on the side, I can kind of do this one all at once because it's so tiny. I'm going to set it in there. Now, I already kind of had a ruffled edge on this because I tore it with my paper cutter because I didn't have it as I didn't have my carriage pushed quite as hard as I would have liked to. So I'm going to take my emery board now. And I just pop that off. Look how straight that is. Isn't that slick how that works? And there we go. There's the front. This emery board technique is how we're going to get our sides to behave. Now, each side is going to require a piece that's about, can you hand me my smaller ruler there so I'm not using this giant yardstick to measure, which looks pretty silly, but it's not that I haven't looked silly before. These guys have seen extreme silliness. After all, many of you were there for the party and the purple light specials. You've seen silliness from me before. Yeah. My sides starting at the top of the base, starting here and measuring to the top is 5 inches, and measuring from this back panel, I'm only going to do just this panel. And from the side of the panel to the front of the box is about 5 1/4 inches. So back to my paper cutter I go. I'm going to cut myself a piece that's about 5 1/2 by 5 1/2. What's the matter?
Nothing. I pushed buttons on accident and I highlighted somebody's comment.
Oh, okay.
Yep. You're welcome.
Okay, so. I'm going to measure this. Yeah, perfect. It's 11 inches wide right now. So what I'm going to do by cutting it to 5 1/2 by 5 1/2 is cut both panels at the same time, basically. So I've got my 5 1/2. Do want to make sure that it's wide enough all the way down. So check that. And I'm going to push my blade against my cutter. And this should be a good fit here. And it is. So we are ready to do one side, then the other. Let me check my other side. This is my other piece, and it's perfect. So these A3s are like the ideal size. Oops. The purple light specials were great. We'll do it again sometime. It was great fun, that party. I had such a good time. I had a good time planning it, and I had a good time executing it. We were so silly. Okay, let's put some decoupage medium on here. Brittany enjoyed pushing buttons while you were gone. So we're getting some decoupage medium on. I'm going to put a little more because there wasn't quite enough in my brush to get it as sticky as I want. I don't know, maybe Easter. We'll see. Hello, Mary R. Welcome.
Mary R says hi to Brittany.
Now say hi to Lauren, because Lauren just came in too. It's a family affair today. We got the whole gang here. Actually, Margie's at home with no power. So Margie kind of counts as family too. Okay. I'm going to lay my paper right in along that line.
Say hi to Diane.
Hi, Diane. Welcome, friend. Okay, you saw me pick up my tweezers. I'll tell you what I was doing. Right along this edge here, it was ruffled just a little bit from my paper cutter. So I took my fine nose tweezers and gently just pushed, gently just pushed the paper into that crack right there to make it absolutely beautiful looking. Okay? Great tools. I tell you, I use these for everything. But I was just using that to hide the little edge of my paper, and it worked great. Okay, we are up to the top, and we are ready for trimming our paper. So we have our paper trimming tool for decoupage, rice paper decoupage. And I am gently running. I'm not scraping hard enough to take off my paint, but I am gently working that rice paper, wrapping around the edges here with my emery board. And that's just slicing that quite evenly right along my line for all this fancy edge work. How's that, guys? Look, isn't that something? Right along the edge. And by just running that emery board very lightly along the edge of that rice paper, we have perfectly trimmed the edge of our paper. See that? No scissors, no nothing. Just an emery board. Isn't that fun? Now I do have a few little, I have a little dustiness here. I'm going to put some decoupage medium right on this corner and clean up my dustiness as I go. Because I'm just kind of cleaning up this edge just a little bit. And that's also going to help hold my paper right there firmly against that edge. Now I'm going to come around with my emery board and I'm going to do this front edge. Oh, come down here. If it sounds like fingernails on a blackboard, I apologize. It's like fingernails on an emery board. Tearing up my emery board as I go, but I have to get myself some new ones out here. No, you'll just you just use one of your fingernail files. Okay, put a little decoupage medium on here, which is going to help seal that edge where we just cut it. How easy is this, guys? Now, it looked like it was going to be complicated, didn't it? At least a little complicated. Even I was amazed how easy this was to do when I got started. Okay, need a little more sealer on this side. Yeah, you can use fine grit sandpaper. I figured everybody probably had either a fingernail file or a sanding block or something that you can use, but just keep it. You know what would work really, really well is those filing blocks like you get when you get a pedicure. I don't know if anybody else in the house here likes a pedicure like I do, but I have a million of those little sanding blocks from where they do your pedicure, and that would be a spectacular tool for this job right here. There we go. Look there. Isn't that pretty? You go, guys. We are almost done already. I was looking for a short project. I'll talk to you a little bit about painting it. Let me get done putting our last side on. Let me get some Decoupage Medium on here. It doesn't really matter if you put it on the side or you put it on your brush. I'm going to put it on my brush because it allows me to keep my work down where you can see what we're doing. And it doesn't matter if I get the decoupage on the white because, like I said, I'm going to hit the entire piece with some white decoupage anyway, which is going to seal my white paint and help protect my paint job from peeling or, you know, getting bumped and coming off, because this decoupage sealer is actually pretty tough stuff. I do recommend, I did not do it, but do as I say, not as I do, perhaps. I don't know. I do recommend that you protect your work area when you're decoupaging, because once it dries, you can wipe it right off when it's wet. It's a water-based product when it's wet. But once it dries, it can be a real pain to get off your table. Does this sound like the voice of experience? It is. Okay, I'm going to line this up right along that back edge, just like we did last time. I'm going to smooth it towards the front, towards the top. I have a really nice coat of Decoupage Medium under that. So here's where we are. I just smoothed it into that corner. A paper trimmer really is useful when you are working on this project, because these sharp corners, the nice square corners, are very useful in making this easy. If it weren't for the sharp corners, I'd have to do more work, and I don't want to do that. Excuse me? Hi, Glenda. Welcome, welcome. Yeah, your daughter is the pioneer daughter. Oh my gosh. It's something that she's been out with power. What is it now? Like 5 days, right, Glenda? That Margie's been out. Glenda is Margie's mom, guys. And she lives here in Oregon, in Eugene, Oregon, which isn't. I don't know. How's your ice down there, Glenda? Ours here has pretty much all melted now. We had quite an icy mess. But I'll put a picture, a really pretty picture that Bryce took of a bird on an ice-encased branch. When I do the newsletter, it's a beautiful photo that he took. But we had a lot of ice, but I know that down south you guys had a lot of ice too, didn't you, Glenda? Oh, good. Okay, we got this side all cleaned up. Once again, just using our emery board. Looky here at our cut line. I haven't done the front edge yet, so that's not messiness you're seeing. I just haven't done that yet. See how beautiful that cut line looks? I'm going to set this on its back, and I'm going to take my emery board gently to the front, and I'm just using my fingernail file, my emery board, lightly, light touches, guys. You don't want to take your paint off. You're just trying to cut the paper, and then peel the paper back right along that line, and it will just come off in a beautiful sheet. One little snag there I'll have to take off with my tweezers, as my tweezers are like my friend. I use them all the time on all my projects. Take that little corner out. Now we've got our front edge done. There we go. Okay. And what do we have left out of our paper? We had this, which might be almost enough to, I think if I backed it with something, I could probably make a card. And I have this piece left. And that's it. Oh, I have this. Out of that big A3 piece, we had just that much left. Now I'm going to put a coat of Decoupage Medium over everything. This is a good time right here. My top is very slightly tacky, but not wet. It's just very slightly tacky. It's a great time to push down any little bubbles you have from putting it on and let those tack in before we put our last coat, well, not last coat, but our next coat on. And I'd say you could just kind of keep going until you run out of decoupage medium. You'll have 2 ounces in your kit. I had a 4-ounce bottle and I've used all of that. I may get another one out here so I can get a really good coat on. The place I'm the most concerned with making sure I have a really good coat is at the top. Not only is it my most visible surface, it is the surface that will take the most abuse because I plan at least to set things on top of it. I'll put my little bottles and jars on top of here. And so I want this to this to be nice and solid. So I'm giving it a real good coat on the top here. Then I'm going to come up the sides. I will come up the back. And by putting the decoupage medium right on over my paint, the decoupage medium is going to be going to darken my bright white just a little bit, not much, just a little bit. And that's okay. By doing that, I'm kind of aging it just a little, which goes with this paper or any of the papers I showed you really well to age it just a little. After you go across the tops, make sure you come back and hit these sides again, because that will create little ripples along the top as you paint. And you want to make sure all those little ripples go away because those ripples will dry that way. So I'm going to hit all of my painted edges here. I have to tell you guys a story on myself when I was working on my sample the other night. Sometimes I'm such a doofus. You guys have figured that out, right? I didn't need to admit it, you knew it. But sometimes I'm really a doofus. I was working along here and I had my bottle of white paint and I kept painting the surfaces, and I thought, man, maybe this dress really isn't. I had put one coat on already, and I was putting a second coat on. You'll probably need 2 coats of white to get a really nice solid finish, you know. So I was working along here, putting my paint on, and I thought, maybe this just wasn't very good paint I got this time. I'm surprised because I think we have a major brand to paint, and I thought that should have covered better than that. I covered all my pieces and then looked at them and thought, that's streaky and it just isn't as perfect as it should be. And then I realized that my white paint was sitting back over here, and the bottle that I had in front of me was my decoupage medium that I just painted all my pieces with. So, okay, I was feeling a little goofy. Oh, sometimes I worry about myself. Oh, I was trying to read what you wrote. Okay, so I am running my decoupage medium over all my surfaces now. When I'm finished here, everything will have at least one coat. Most surfaces, or the decoupage surfaces, will have multiple coats. Gonna go ahead and do the back too. I'm checking as I go to make sure I didn't leave any little ripples of decoupage medium here or there. You have to keep checking that as you go because it will create ripples while you're working on one side, and the other side will get a little ripple, so you have to keep checking that. Now there's this MDF board that this is made out of. So sealing the edges of that MDF is a nice thing to do too. MDF is a pressure treated board. It's not made out of solid wood. It's made out of remanufactured wood. Harder than just regular plywood, but it's a remanufactured wood. Okay. Oh, it's not only you doing stuff like that, Roberta. I think I introduced the concept of it. I am sort of silly sometimes. If they'd been different colors, I'd have caught it, but the solution when you put it on the decoupage medium's white, and it looked like it ought to be covering. But you know how it's not so much that I did it, it's that I painted all of my pieces before I realized I did it. That was shocking, really. I'm coming under here to hit these seams underneath one more time just to make sure they stay where I put them. I'm going to hit this front seam again just to make sure it stays where I put it. What kind of questions do you guys have for me? Any questions at all? This is a pretty easy process, really. The most complicated thing is cutting in the edges, and I just showed you how to make that super duper easy. Super easy. What do you think, guys? The most time consuming, sorry, I probably just broke your ear when I bumped my mic. The most time consuming aspect of doing any of this is painting the white. And let me give you just a couple tips on painting the white stuff. 2 coats over everything. Go ahead and just do front and back of everything. You're going to get a foam brush to paint with, but I also recommend going into your private stash and getting yourself out another paintbrush that hello, my screen just disappeared. entirely. Oh, you know what I did? I probably changed the channel.
You probably did.
Is it 2?
I think so. Mary asks, after it dries, do you do
Channel
the
number.
bottom also?
You could. You don't have to, but you can. Okay. I've lost my input. Is it TV or component? I'm thinking it might be component.
HDMI 2 or 1.
Sorry, guys, I lost you. I had a remote sitting here and I bumped it. So I will be back as soon as well, you're seeing me. I'm just not seeing you, and that's really bugging me. Let me go to MDF 1. Maybe let me give this to Bryce and he can figure out how to get you back. I got you back. Okay, there you are. And he's removing my remote. Stealing the tools I can get in trouble with. Get out one of your paintbrushes that you don't mind sacrificing for the cause. This is a little cheap paintbrush I had out of a kit from Michael's. And you're going to find that this is going to be really, really useful in getting in to paint. I got a little bit of Decoupage Medium on the bottom, and so I set it up on a bottle. To get in here to paint these, paint all the bottoms first, the side and the bottom, then flip the whole thing over and paint the sides and the bottom again. It's way easier and more accurate than trying to paint the tops of these little circles. So that was useful. Secondly, you got to paint these little dudes up here, and your brush can really help you get into all these little nooks and crannies. And when it came to doing these little tiny circles, I dipped my paintbrush in a little pool of paint, and I jammed my paintbrush in there, the paintbrush handle, and wiggled it around. And I got the centers, these little tiny 1/4-inch holes. I got those painted by just using the back end of my paintbrush. Okay? Hi, Thelma. Hello, Annette. Welcome, welcome, guys. So that's how I did it. And that was really, really useful. It's going to take a little while to get 2 coats of paint on everything. It takes less time if you use the paint than it does the decoupage medium. I learned that. What kind of questions do you guys have for me? Any questions at all? We're finished with this project, guys. You want to take another tour of coming attractions?
Yes, I want to know what show and tell was going to be.
I don't have anything new, but I'll show you what we have coming up. I have to come up with something for next Thursday. Don't know what it's going to be yet, but I'll find something fun. I have a house full of fun things. This is already dry enough to touch. This is what we created tonight, guys. Can you believe the emery board makes that so easy? Look how beautiful that is. Beautiful. Okay, let me put this out of my way. Would you do me a favor? I got Decoupage Medium on here. Would you wash that for me, please? I don't want to ruin my brush. Thank you. Okay. Push those out of the way a little bit. Fun, fun, fun. That is a fun project, guys. I really recommend it. And I am going to love putting all of my little, let me use my dry ones. See, here's my little sparkles sets I just got. See, this is going to be really neat and convenient storage on top of this too. So it's okay. You know, the little bottles, glitter, embossing powders, some of your little stuff will be held in nicely by these little borders, and it's going to be a very fun and functional tool. So I recommend it. And remember, if you want to, we have many other papers. Do you want to see the papers again?
That's when people arrive later.
Okay, let me show you your paper choices. If you don't tell us otherwise, we're going to give you the Hortensia paper that I used, that I built the listing around. So if you don't tell us otherwise, it's Hortensia, which is, of course, the one you just saw us put on. But I have other choices. Here is the Hortential Wallpaper.
How do they tell you this? What they want
You can write it in your comment.
in your order?
In your order. Yeah, put it in the comment section of your order, which one of the papers you want. Your first choice and maybe second choice in case something sells out. But at this point in time, we have Hortensia. This is called wallpaper or Hortensia Wallpaper right here. You can see all these in the rice paper section of the store, so you can pick up the names from there. We have this beautiful, I love this one. If I weren't already going for purple office, this might have been my choice because I think it's beautiful. Good for a man or a woman. Anybody who loves nature. You know that my favorite colors are purple and green, preferably together. But this makes this perfect because look at that deer. I love deer too. So we've got that nature piece. I think I only have one of those. We've got this one that looks like wallpaper that I actually believe the colors in this would be quite beautiful with the Hortensia. And it's kind of a wallpaper print. But it doesn't have to have, in fact, you can see there's actually some advantages when it comes to color matching and stuff if it doesn't have a real distinct pattern to it. So we have that one. This one, I'm trying to remember what this one's called. I think it's from Voyages Fantastique, but I'm not sure. But you can find it in the rice paper section of the store. And this one has sailboats and architectural drawings and cool stuff on it. Once again, great for guys or ladies. We have just 2 sheets of this, and the only reason we have them is because we lost them and weren't able to fill an Amazon order the other night, but they're back. So we have this beautiful one with the fern. We have a great selection of rice papers, and I just keep getting more because you guys have responded so well to the rice paper projects that we've done. This is more of that kind of teal colored wallpaper. There's another one of the forest, so I guess I was wrong. I thought maybe I had one. I actually have 5 of the forest scenes. So if you wanted to do more than one, you could. So those are the A5 wallpapers. You're going to need an A5, an A3. I said A5, A3 size paper. That's what this is. It's twice the size of a piece of adorable scoreable. This is how much you're going to need. Now, you could conceivably, if you wanted to, use 2 sheets of the smaller A4, but you might actually get into needing 3 because you'll have to piece it differently in order to be able to get your patterns to work out right. You know what I mean? That's the advantage of starting with a bigger sheet. So I recommend the A3, but you could do more sheets of A4 if you really felt inclined that you had to do it. And I understand having to do things. Okay. So Saturday, we're doing boat class. You've heard me say it. If you haven't had this class, you need this class. Because how many of our projects that we do every week have those beautiful bows on them? And you can learn to tie that. If you don't know already, you want to be in that bow class. And we're going to learn to tie pretty single bows that are gorgeous every time. We're going to tie double bows. We're going to tie triple bows. We're going to tie those bows that I call my 515 that I use so often. We're going to tie loopy bows with little tiny ribbon. We're going to make a ribbon that looks like a butterfly. We're going to work on the little tiny blueberry comb. We're going to work on the midi comb, and we're going to work on both of those combs together. This time we're going to learn to tie 2 ribbons at one time. We have so many cool projects for you. And then by the time, we're also going to learn how to do bow pins. And when we're done, we're going to put together a card that has bow pins in it and one of our beautiful bows. So, yes. No, it doesn't have to be painted for the rice paper to stick, Linda. What you want, though, is it needs to be a light color. Because rice paper is very lightweight and almost translucent, you need to have the brightness of having it light colored behind there. Otherwise, all your colors will be suppressed. So that's what makes the colors in these just pop out, is because I'm putting that rice paper over white. Okay? So my recommendation is, if your desk organizer is already white, then you are good to go. Go right over the top. But if it's not white or a very light color, you'll need to paint it so that your rice paper colors don't get all washed out by the darker color underneath, because that will happen. Okay? And speaking of doing this on cardboard, I was just thinking, it's funny you said that, because I got all these boxes, these gift boxes at Christmas time. What I used as gift boxes was the card boxes that they sell at, what do they call them? Is it like a white storage box or black storage box? You know, the ones they have like at Michael's? They're for like photo storage. I think that's what they're called, is photo storage boxes. I got all those at Christmas time and I didn't use all of them. I was thinking I need to grab 1 or 2 of those and I need to decoupage them in my material so that I have beautiful storage boxes on my shelves that match my clock and my coasters and my storage, or my pen storage unit. Doesn't that sound nice? That'd look beautiful on my shelves, wouldn't it? To have my storage boxes decoupaged to look the same. I think it'd be beautiful.
They had asked if they have the red comb. Could they use that with the bow making class on Saturday?
You can use your red comb with the bow making class. You're not going to be able to do everything that we do. You absolutely can use your red comb and just come join us for practice. But some of the things that we're going to do will not work with the red comb. And vice versa. Some of the things we did in your class with the red comb will not work on there. For example, because this comb has these teeth that are really widely spaced apart, we could use really heavy materials like, you could use jute, you could use crocheted material, we could use lace, and some of the things that we did in your class. The little bow makers, the teeth aren't wide enough to use that heavy material, and this will do a bigger one. But what we will want to do, but the small combs, I have mine moved somewhere. Oh, yep, I had it set aside to talk about, and I forgot where I put it. These small combs, see how all the teeth are little? All the teeth are little, which gives us more choices. So that's what you're going to find some differences, but I certainly don't care if you hang out and do things with us using your red comb. It's great practice. So sure, you can use your red comb. Just know there's going to be some differences, okay? All right. And you know that in that same kit, that is a heck of a deal on that kit. I just got to say, you have no idea how many hours I have putting all these little bead packets and stuff together. Oh my gosh. Counting out the little colored beads and the crystal beads and the gold beads and the bead pins and the bead slides and the foam squares and the ribbon for this. And then you get, I don't know, we've counted them repeatedly. There's somewhere between 25 and 28 pieces of ribbon in your kit. And you get the components to build the sample card. So this is really a rich kit. You can pay $25 for the comb, or you can pay $30 and get everything, including the ribbon, which is a steal. You want to hand me that kit right there too, please? Now, does it have my Mrs. Tiggy Winkle in it?
No.
I don't have it in here. Okay, let's talk about Mrs. Tiggy Winkle for next weekend. I can only sell you the Mrs. Tiggy Winkle kit if you are also buying the CD, because this is a licensed product and they have every right to expect that we will honor their license and their proprietary product. You can only get this kit if you're buying the CD in it. If you've already purchased the CD and we have evidence that you purchased the CD, that is a-okay. I can look back and make sure that you have the CD, but you can only get this kit if you have the CD. In the kit, you are going to get 14 sheets of cardstock. You're going to get some black glimmer paper. You're going to get several sheets of mirror board. You're going to get foam squares. You're going to get ribbon for all your cards. You are going to get envelopes for all your cards. You are going to get a free Mrs. Tiggy Winkle stamp. Why? Because I was in the mood to celebrate Mrs. Tiggy Winkle, so I put a free rubber stamp of Mrs. Tiggy Winkle in everybody's kit. So you have that. Our cards are amazing. They're so cool. This one. Is it just me? It depends on whether or not you're familiar with the works of Beatrice Potter, who's a British author who wrote children's books. And she wrote, you probably will be familiar with Peter Rabbit and Mr. McGregor's Garden. That was her first novel, was Peter Rabbit. And then from there, she expanded out and began talking about all the other creatures of the forest and Peter Rabbit's friends, and Mrs. Tiggy Winkle is one of those friends. Mrs. Tiggy Winkle does the laundry for all our little forest friends. And I think if we can make the technology work, we're going to start our class by seeing the adventure, the tale of Mrs. Tiggy Winkle. I believe we got the sound issue from the other day figured out, so we're going to try it again. If it works, we'll have a little 5-minute YouTube of Mrs. Tiggy Winkle at the beginning of our class. If not, well, okay. So this is a pyramid card, which we have not done in this class. It's another form of layering, where you layer your pieces and you twist them as you go to end up with these really fun and interesting dimensional patterns. And this is the card I'm probably the most proud of. It's a birthday card with Mrs. Tiggy Winkle and happy birthday around the outside. And it's a 9-image waterfall on the inside, all with images off your CD. And I'm going to teach you how to build the mechanism to create such a fun and wonderful project as that. So that's coming up next weekend. Get your kits. If you don't get one, you're gonna miss out. And if you don't get one, you're just not gonna forgive yourself, because it's great fun. When you see, as we go through it, I'm also gonna go through it. Not only are we gonna build the cards, I'm gonna go through the CD with you and teach you how to use it. because too many times we buy these wonderful CDs and other products and we never learn to use them, so they sit on the shelf. I want you to use this one because it's just glorious what you get. And you're going to have such fun. You'll have hours of entertainment from that one product. So I want you to learn how to use it. I'm going to teach you how to use it next week. So that's going to be fun. What kinds of questions, comments, or pearls of wisdom do you have for me? Did you guys all go in and watch the Jamie Rogers video? I hope you did. I didn't do justice to it. We did our best, and I went back, and it really was better than I thought it was going to be. But my talk over still was no substitution for watching Jamie actually do his magic. But these are selling like hotcakes. Don't miss these. Don't miss these. We are going to create magic with these. I may wait just a little bit till the freeze kind of lifts off the country to send these kits out, because the Cosmic Shimmer clear, what is it I'm trying to say? The clear embossing paste is a water-based product, and so is the glue. And I just got a shipment in from Canada, and all my glue bottles were frozen in it, which makes them absolutely unusable. You cannot reconstitute it. It turns into a putty-like substance. So I don't want you to have that disappointment. So I may hold, get your powders now. We will run out. I know that. I've seen what we've sold in the last 2 days, and I know we are going to run out of powders. Get your powders now and get prepared for that. And as the winter weather lifts a little bit around the country and we can safely mail out those water-based products, one thing we do that they didn't do, they just threw them on the top of the box and sealed the box. It was no insulation at all. One thing we always do, starting in about September, October, we start wrapping all of our bottles in bubble wrap, trying to insulate them some so that we can provide an extra measure of protection for you. But a lot of people won't have it already, though, Roberta, and we're going to need that for the project. So, yeah, but even though we try to insulate them, when we have parts of the country that are 30 degrees below zero, they don't stand a chance. So I'm going to wait just a little bit till the freeze lifts to send out those water-based products. So, what other questions do you have for me? Do you guys have suggestions of things you want to see? I know that we talked about doing some origami, not origami. My brain keeps going clunk and stopping today, guys. What is it? Quilling. I know we talked about doing some quilling, so I still have that on the agenda. I eventually want to get our Thursday night crew back to stamping, and I want to do some scenery stamping. I'm really excited to do that with you. Do you guys have other ideas for what you want to see? Any ideas coming from you? What are you the most excited about? I do have some Easter projects coming up. Thank you for your understanding, Roberta. I just want to make sure when you get products from us, you're getting quality products. Bryce is the most excited about the prospect of dinner when we're done here. Flower making, okay. All right. We can get to flower making soon. Anything else that you guys want to add? You like the 3D projects? Excellent. Are you talking about like the barbecue, Mary? That kind of 3D? Or are you talking about like the layered cards and that kind of thing? Just want to clarify. Yes, Bryce, he always chimes in. He's funny. He's funny. He makes me laugh. I think that's the secret to lasting 26 years is with shimmer powders, okay? Yeah, shimmer powders. We're going to make flowers and use the shimmer powders. How that? You like the layered cards, okay? Cool. You guys are, oh, the clocks, layered cards, etc. Okay, excellent. Good, good, good. Thanks for the feedback, guys. One of these days I'll do a survey again. I just haven't had time to do it justice. And candidly, trying to prepare for three classes a week, I don't really have time to act on the results of the survey. So I only believe in doing them when we can, when I can immediately make changes that help respond to anything you raise. You're okay, Wanda. We just finished up our project and we were just talking about previews of coming attractions. And I was asking if there were any particular projects that people were interested in playing with. I heard that you like to do the 3D projects, that you seem to enjoy doing the decoupage and some kind of unusual paper crafting projects. We're going to do some quilling and some flower making. So I think what I'm hearing is we're kind of on the right track, right? Is that what I'm hearing from you guys, that we're kind of moving in the direction that you guys are generally comfortable? Give me a 1 or a 2. Or a 37 if you happen to be eating brownies. Okay, Wanda loves quilling. Okay, excellent. Thelma says we're headed in the right direction for her. Good. Okay, good. Got a couple people on the quilling front. The magazine boxes. Okay. Oh, I have one of those coming, actually. That's good. I actually have a couple of those coming. Stephanie, okay. We're headed in the right direction. Well, it sounds like we're all kind of in agreement that we're moving in an okay direction for everybody. So I'm going to keep doing what I'm doing. And you guys keep hanging out with me, and we enjoy each other's company. And you guys stay safe and warm out there, or at least as warm as you can, okay? All right. Hopefully this winter weather will lift soon and we can begin with thoughts of spring. We'll hold thoughts of spring while we wait for the real thing. Do you have chipboard? I do have chipboard. There is chipboard in the store. Look under specialty materials. Working on exploding box for my granddaughter. You guys loved those exploding boxes, didn't you? Me too. Me too. I'm glad you enjoyed the class tonight. If you did enjoy the class tonight, please give me the thumbs up. That's my attaboy that says, I like what I see happening here. This is a good place to visit, a good place to hang out, and you like our projects. So give me the thumbs up if you love us. If there's something I could be doing better, write me privately and tell me about that at info@simplyspecialcrafts.com. And I'm going to say good night, Gracie.